Hello everyone. So today let's discuss the next topic, that is the female reproductive structure of an angiospermic flower, okay, which we call it as the gynoecium. Now gynoecium, the female reproductive part, its unit is known as the carpel or pistil. Now this carpel, it consists of three parts: the stigma, style and ovary. Okay, now sometimes what happen in some flowers, the number of pistil or carpel may be one, then we call it as a monocarpellary flower. Suppose if there are two carpels, then we call it as a bicarpellary. If there are more than two, then definitely we call it as multicarpellary or polycarpellary. Okay, now again in some flowers the carpels may be free, is for example Michaelia, then we call it as a apocarpous flower. Now if the carpels are fused, for example hibiscus, then we call it as an syncarpous flower. Okay, so these are the different types of flowers based on the number of carpel and how they are free or fused. Now, if we are talking about the three different parts of the pistil, then first the stigma, which is the main terminal receptive part and it is the landing platform for the pollens. Then this is the style, which is the stalk which connects the stigma to the ovary, and this basal swollen part, this is called the ovary, which consists of the ovules bearing the female okay, and it has a cushion of parenchymatous cells which is known as the placenta. Okay, now when we are telling that ovule which bears the female gamete, that is the egg, so let us first discuss about in details the structure of ovule. Now ovule, this is the structure of an ovule and LS of an ovule. Now it is actually an integumented indehiscent megasporogenesis which is stalked. Okay, it bears a stalk and it is oval and a whitish in color somewhat. Now this is borne on a parenchymatous cushion, placenta, inside the ovary. Okay, now you can see here in this diagram, this is the placenta, this is the ovary, this is the placenta, and this placenta bears the ovules on either sides. Okay, now the stalk of the ovule, that means the particular portion to which the main body is attached, is called the funicle. So this is the funicle, stalk of the ovule. Okay, and this funicle is attached to the main body of the ovule at a particular point. That particular point is called the hilum. Now this is the point to which this is the body to which this portion is attached. So this is the hilum. Now based on the position or orientation of the funicle, the ovules are of different types. It may be either orthotropous, okay, it's an erect ovule, or it may be anatropous, inverted ovule, hemitropous, half inverted ovule, then campylotropous, okay, in which the body is curved, amphitropous, where the body as well as the embryo sac both are curved, and carcinotropous, in which the funicle coils, okay, around the ovule. That means completely it is coil. Now you can see this. Okay, so these are the 6 different types of ovules based on the orientation of funicle. Now this one, what we are discussing is the anatropous ovule. Okay, here the funicle is there, and sometimes what happen in funicle, a portion is there which a ridge is present which is known as the raphe. Okay, so here this is the raphe. Now the main body of the ovule, that is this whole structure, it consists of a parenchymatous mass. This parenchymatous mass is known as the nucellus. Now this nucellus is surrounded by either single or double or triple layer integument. Wall is there, these walls are known as the integuments. Now if the ovule consists of one integument, then we call it as unitegmic. As for example, we observe in case of Asteraceae family, if 2 integuments are present, then it is called a bitegmic ovule. As for example, as we observe in Malvaceae family, if 3 integuments are present, then it is called a tritegmic ovule. Okay, which is very rare, as for example Asphodelus. sometimes what happen, integuments are not at all present, then we call it as an ategmic or naked ovule, which we observe in case of parasitic families. Okay, now the inner part of the integument, it sometimes what happen, nourishes the developing embryo sac. Okay, now the part of the ovule from which the integument develops, that means this position from which the integuments are arising, this is known as the chalaja. Okay, now from this chalaja the integuments run continuously, but they are interrupted or they bears a pore of passage. Okay, this portion is left open. This particular pore is known as the micropyle pore. Okay, micropylar pore or the micropyle, through which the male gamete enters into the female gamete. Now the female gamete is thus embedded in the micropylar half of the nucellus. Now if this whole tissue is nucellus, this is the micropylar end and this is the embryo sac. This particular embryo sac, it lies towards the micropylar part. Okay, now this is the overall structure of the ovule. Now let's discuss the megasporogenesis process. So how the megaspore or the female spore develops. Now you can see in this diagram that in the nucellus part, some tissues they become specialized. Okay, that means the ovule, it develops as primordium and amount of nucellus develops over the placenta. Now this portion develops a hypodermal region, and that hypodermal region bears a cell which consists of a large nucleus and dense cytoplasm. This particular cell we call it as the primary archaesporal cell. Okay, now this primary archaesporal cell divides transversely into two cells. The cell towards the epidermal part is known as the primary parietal cell, and the one towards the inner side is known as the primary sporogenous cell. Now unlike the microsporogenesis process, the primary parietal cell, it may divide once or more times. Okay, and the sporogenous cell, it directly behave as the megaspore mother cell. Okay, here no division takes place initially, but it directly behave as the megaspore mother cell. Then after formation of the megaspore mother cell, it undergoes meiosis and thus forms 4 haploid cells. These haploid cells are formed in a form of linear tetrad. That means the tetrad that is formed by meiosis of the megaspore mother cell is a linear tetrad. And of this tetrad, the 3 cells towards the micropylar portion degenerates. Only the cell towards the chalajal end, it behave as the functional megaspore. Okay, so here you can see that this is the functional megaspore. These are the 3 cells, they lie towards the micropylar part, and this cell which is towards the chalajal end, it behaves as the functional megaspore. Now with the formation of this functional megaspore, the process of microsporogenesis completes. Okay, so now we can see that a large female spore is produced, which will now get ready to undergo further divisions to form the female gamete.